Hey guys, how's it going? My name's the Breph, and welcome to this challenge video. Today I'm asking the question, can you beat Pokemon Emerald Kaizo with only a randomly generated Pokemon? Now, the title is a touch misleading. I already know this isn't possible. Having done pretty much minuscule research into this, even I can tell that it's a tough ordeal to beat at the best of times. The level curve in this game is just insane and goes up exponentially, so far that the Elite Four have a full team of level 100 Pokemon. Essentially, the point of this challenge is just to see how far a randomly generated Pokemon can go in what could legitimately be described as one of, if not the hardest ROM hack ever created. While this is acting as a 1000 subscriber special, let me know in the comments if you want to see me do more of this ridiculous game, and or other ROM hacks for that matter, in the future. Before we do the random generation, let me cover the rules. The first thing to note is that whatever we generate for our starter is what we're allowed to use. The exception to this are the numerous and widespread double battles that take place in the game, but overall we will be going through as much of it as possible with this one alone. With each gym badge we collect, we will return to the random generator and add ourselves a single new team member. So when our starter inevitably can't cut it, the challenge will change. At that point, this will become trying to beat the game with a randomly generated team. I will need a couple of HM slaves that I'll catch along the way, but they won't be partaking in any battles. Part of this hack involves removing the ability to use items in battle, and indeed certain items, like PP ups and proteins, are restricted altogether. I'll do my best to explain more as we go, but for now, let me hand over to the awkward and live commentary over the random generation. Hey guys, welcome to this live random number generator section of the video, where this commentary is live. I probably won't do live commentary over the additional ones that we get if we decide to randomize a member of the team after a gym badge. But here we are going to randomize our number between 1 and 386. We are going to find that number in the National Dex column of Bulbapedia, and that'll be what we use. I already did this, forgot to hit record, got myself a Wailord. So this is probably going to bite me on the arse, but we'll do it again in 3, 2, 1. 205. So into Johto, and quite low into the Johto Dex, I believe. 205 is Forretress. Oh, good God. Oh, good God. Okay, well, here we are. Forretress with decent-ish stats. No, high defense, pretty decent physical attack, decent health, pretty crappy speed, and special defense and attack at 60 there isn't bad. This is what I like though. Damage normally by obviously quite a lot. 4 times weak to fire is not nice, but resistant to normal bug, steel, grass, psychic, ice, and dragon. No fairy types in Gen 3. And completely immune to poison damage. Which is fantastic, because in this game, a lot of toxic stalling, I believe, from what I've done the research, and we can't be affected by it. So, this bagworm Pokemon is who we're going to use for our challenge. Yeah, that's happening, and Forretress will be our Pokemon. I am not looking forward to it. I hate Forretress at the best of times, and the only thing I'm really holding on to is the fact that move pools have been altered, so we might not end up with a stupid one. With that done, let's begin. The game begins and we choose the male character, giving ourselves the ever-inventive name of Breph. The start of the game is exactly the same as usual, so we head up north to find the professor being assaulted by a tiny woodland creature. He begs us to save him, and we open his bag to choose our Forretress. Our starting moves aren't particularly bad, but they could have been a lot better. The Zigzagoon stands no chance either way, so we make our way to the lab and bestow upon him the nickname of Plonker. I'll explain the names at the end, so you'll just have to be patient and try to figure them all out as we go. From there, I do a little bit of grinding, a sentence that will be repeated time after time, I have no doubt. We arrive to tackle May, who I made sure has a Trico. In a brutal game like this, I wanted any and all advantage that I could possibly have. This fight isn't so different, so she goes down easily, and with that victory the game becomes open to us, and my god is it vast. I'm pretty much going into this game blind, with minuscule research only into some of the major fights. I know a couple of things coming up, so I spend time grinding up off the fished up Pokemon in Little Root. That's never going to get weird to say, until level 15. Over leveled? You'd think so, wouldn't you? But you'll just have to wait. Up in the Petalburg Woods we have our first encounter with Team Magma. He has a team consisting of 5 members, all around level 8. There's a Bagon and a Houndour who nearly burns us to a crisp, and a Coughing that just loves to stall us out. We fell victim to paralysis 4 times in a row for goodness sake, and we only just won. How the heck is this fair? But as if by magic, the game throws another spanner in the works as Red of all trainers challenges us on the way to Rustborough. It's a nifty little fight. He has the pre-evolved members of his usual team, all the Kanto starters, Eevee and Pikachu. Fortunately for us, we're level to a point where that Charmander doesn't pose a serious risk to us, and we beat him first time. Thanks to the grinding that I did earlier, we haven't actually been knocked out many times so far. I'm keeping a running death title alongside this, so the final number will be interesting to see. I get a very strong impression that it's soon to rise a lot, because now we have to take on Roxanne. One thing that I am going to say is that this game is not afraid to throw some bullshit at you. Luckily though, on one of the gym trainers we level up to 22, learning Drill Run, an 80 base power, 100 accuracy ground type move that should, in theory, come in handy. Roxanne leads off with a nose pass that has a thing for Thunder Wave, paralysing us right from the go. When she sends in Shuckle, I instantly know what this is. It's the mother of all stallouts. Drill Run does nothing, Giga Drain does nothing, and Secret Power does paralyse, which is fortunate, but still does nothing. I eventually take it down after suffering from numerous paralysis turns in a row, which is more annoying than anything. Lilip falls for a good couple of drill runs and then out comes Anorith. A single unlucky critical rock slide from that sends us packing. I'm gonna rename this game to Emerald Groinzo because that is exactly what we have to do. All the way up to level 25 when I return to try again. Not much has changed, but we've grown enough that I feel confident. This time around, although Shuckle still proves to be the stalling king, we make it a lot further. One-shotting Anorith and regaining a large chunk of health off of Relicanth. Lunatone also falls to Giga Drain despite putting us to sleep, and we claim the first badge. You know what this means? It's number generation time. Heading over to my state-of-the-art, totally not taken from Google generator, we click the randomizer and draw the number 353. To us, that means Shuppet. I can't find one of those until later, which means for now, we're still on our own. So the storyline isn't actually any different to regular Emerald, which means we're off to Jufa to challenge Brawly. It took me a few tries first. I had real difficulties here with Poliwrath. When that thing goes down, I knew I was in a good spot. Harry Armour is final, and I usually love to use this thing, but I hate to come against it. Given the level difference, we get rid of him and claim the second badge. Thank God. Which also means we go back to the generator. Clicking the button, we generate the number 379, a Registeel. Amazing luck there getting a legendary. Unfortunately again, I can't catch this thing legitimately until later on, so yet again, we're on our own. And being on my own is fine by me, until I walk into a cave and come face to face with this bullshit ice puzzle. Don't worry, it's a 2-floor one as well. I took a long time on this damn puzzle. I would include a solution walkthrough in this, but I think after the first up, left, down, left, you'd be more bored than I was trying to work it out. Needless to say, about 45 minutes later, we make our way through to Stephen, deliver the letter to him, and head off to Slateport. While there, we meet the captain in the museum and deliver a special package to him. That's when we run into Archie, the boss of Team Aqua, who wants to explain all about the benefits of Scientology, but we cut his BS short and send him on his way. With that, we get back on the grind, heading towards Moorville and encountering May once again. We're level 40 and paralysed when her minor goes down. That 4 times weakness to fire proves to be lethal as Charmeleon leaves us on 25 health with a fire punch. Pidgeotto scares me, and when Croconaw leaves me on 2 HP, I brick it. Luckily we get the Giga Drain off, but that doesn't help us and we fall. Any other game and we would have easily blitzed her. So I go and defeat the remaining trainers and come back a single level later. This time there's no paralysis, which is good. We tank a fire punch with 22 HP and get rid of the Charmeleon. I opt for Giga Drain on Pidgeotto but shortly abandon that idea. The Croc gets the same treatment though and goes down nicely. The last 2 are Nidorina and Grovyle, and a Drill Run and Signal Beam later, we can finally advance. So where do we go but Moorville from here, eh? What a shit show of troubles this place caused me. On my total death counter, I racked up 56 separate failures in this hellish place. We defeat all the trainers in the area and head to the gym to challenge Wally. Wally has the same team as usual for this point in the game, except his Ralts is level 70. Yes, 70. It uses Will-O-Wisp and burns us, so it survives our Signal Beam and hits us with a Pain Split. Luckily it falls to the next turn, but that wasn't so fun. While we have no failures here, we do have tons in the next area. Inside the gym is a bloke named Kirk, who is most definitely the captain now. He has a Loudred that knows Flamethrower for some reason, and worse than that, a Golbat with Heat Wave, a nasty move that I hate with a passion by now. With no good grinding spots off of the Pokemon in this area, we have to sit and fail over and over again. We go back and forth all the way until we're level 48, where we're strong enough to tank the Heat Wave and win with only 19 HP left. One thing I do realise here is that this is a game that does not like double battles when you only got one party member. One of the gym trainers is a double battle, and I only have Plonker in the party. So double battles turn out to be a bad thing, as we now have duplicate invincible Plonkers. A nifty little game break, sure, but that's one that we're going to need to avoid in the future. Luckily the next double battle is a while away, but we might need to use cheat codes if the random generation doesn't go well for the areas we're in. That portion took me 16 attempts. Now if I can't even beat the gym trainer, I'd know I don't stand a chance against Watson. Luckily, we can't actually get to him. Now I don't know if this is some sort of invisible floor challenge for the gym, but the puzzle tiles weren't working at all, so ultimately I had to turn on the walkthrough walls cheat just to get to the boss man himself. I think my double battle successfully broke the game. I first try at level 51, feeling rather confident because Drill Run is powerful, but as you can see we're pretty screwed. Electabuzz knowing Fire Punch is just way too brutal, and that 4 times weakness to fire is really proving to be a bastard. 42 failures, and many levels later, we get this run. We're level 60 and my god was it close. Jolteon outspeeds me to no surprise and doesn't do much damage. Ampharos is a one shot also, and we luckily avoid static. There's no way around Electabuzz, so we just need to tank the hit and dispatch it. Manectric is scary. We survive the overkill flamethrower with just 4 HP. Luckily the next one is a Lantern and Giga Drain helps us to no end. Raichu does knock us down to 19 health, but finally, we've claimed the 3rd badge. That's right, all of this time just to get 3 badges. But what does it mean? It's random number generation time again. Slapping the generate button harder than you should slap like on this video, we generate number 110, Wheezing, a member we can actually find too. If we need, we can catch a coughing and evolve it, but I won't get to that unless I really need him. Now I would be the first person who would love to say that things get slightly easier from here, but honestly I'd be lying to you. I'd be lying if I said it was easier on my alcohol consumption intake rate, or the stress level, or on anything to be fair. The next major fight is against Red again, who ambushes us on the route to Follower. This time around, he has his full team. Fully evolved Kanto starters, Snorlax and Espeon. Charizard in particular is horrid. I hate Flamethrower. I need levels and I actually need something else too. So I visit the move tutor for rollout in Moorville and replace Signal Beam with it. I honestly think the sacrifice is worth it. We then go off and grind a ton, coming back for a successful attempt many levels later. Level 73 and we have decent enough defences to give it a go. We survive that Charizard with 62 health, thank God. Rollout does the business over Blastoise and Snorlax while Espeon gets the Giga Drain treatment. While Venusaur does put us to sleep, when we awaken, a Flash Cannon puts the brutality aside and just like that, we've finally beaten Red. And all it cost me was my sanity, dignity and liver function. Having completed that, life throws another curveball at me. One thing that is unavoidable and brutal is that the next one is a fight against Maxi. He tries to explain to us all about the Book of Mormon and doesn't take too kindly when we tell him to do one, and he attacks with force. The bloke leads off with a Registeel, which is lucky for him because I still have to wait for mine. Alakazam and Houndoom both have powerful fire type moves. Guess how that works for us? After failing time and time and time again, level after level, even failing miserably at level 92, I make a decision. I need to max out my level. Now, does anyone have any idea how long it takes to grind to level 100 off of level 30 wild Pokemon? A long freaking time. Ultimately we do it and head back at max level, but I still take attempt after attempt. And yet there is still a glimmer of hope, because we get a good run. Registeel goes down as usual, Alakazam too, but as it turns out, we actually have a speed tie with Houndoom. We win it and Drill Run takes it out without taking damage. Crobat has Heat Wave on its moveset, so I need to be strong, which thankfully we are. One Flash Cannon later and Dusclops rears its head for a beating. Both it and the Claydol that come out after fall to a single Flash Cannon each. Holy shit, that was a nasty segment. Now this game is only gonna get harder and I physically cannot. So, in preparation for the inevitable, I go and catch myself a coughing, naming him Dustin. I evolve him into Wheezing and train up his levels in preparation for what I believed was destined to be certain failure, Flannery. And actually, she wasn't an issue. Ninetales, Cast Form, Arcanine, Typhlosion and Blaziken all fall to a single Drill Run each. Charizard goes down thanks to Return, and I never fail to be amazed by this game. Where I thought I would face an inevitable issue, I find to be no issue at all. We didn't even take a single point of damage against the gym that we're 4 times weak to. Unbelievable. With that, we head over to the generator to randomise our next potential member, getting the number 235, also known as a Smeargle. I probably won't be using this one, although that does depend on the next generator, which will come after the Pelberg gym. So seeing as we are now level 100, the next thing is just to go over and tackle it. Norman's a double battle, which as mentioned in the rules, doesn't violate the single Pokemon element of this challenge. He leads off with a trademark Slacking and a legit seeming Espeon for the normal type gym. Ultimately, Dustin shines a fair amount here. He shows good power with Sludge Bomb and Gunk Shot. Unfortunately, he fails to survive the whole fight, but in due course, and a lot of it because Snorlax is a rest staller, we finally overcome the normal type gym and claim the 5th badge. which obviously means we get a new number. Back on the randomizer, we draw 356 Dusclops. Not a bad member to add when we get one. Next place to visit is the Weather Institute, after which we encounter another May fight. Unlike in regular Emerald, she's really up to her game this time. Her Raichu gets a Thunder off but goes down nicely, as do her Clefable and Nidoqueen respectively. When it gets sent out, Feraligatr hits a Hydro Pump but ultimately does nothing to me, and Sceptile falls to return and the rival match is over. While Winona is now available to me, her team consists of some very strong Pokemon and I do not feel like I'm ready for it. Now, while double battles don't violate the challenge, I've got some new team members that I can go and get. I head down towards Mount Prior, and while in there, we finally catch ourselves a Shuppet, naming her Ivy. I also stand here looking for a Duskull for a lot longer than I thought I would be, but ultimately I couldn't find one. I thought about it and decided I need to make the most of the team that I can have, so I use a cheat code to encounter a Dusclops straight away, catching him and naming him Sean. And now comes the grind, back on the grind. One thing I learned is that Shuppet is pretty much useless. It just cannot stand up to the pressures of this game. Still, it could be good for stalling out, I suppose. That means it's time to tackle the gym, and Winona is as tough a task as trying to convince a chav that they're not drunk after a single WKD blue. As you can see, her team consists of all 3 legendary birds, which is bad enough. She also proves to be much too powerful for us at our current levels. With a ton more grinding under our belts, we get this run against the flying type leader. I charge Dustin with the job of sludge bombing the legendary Zapdos, while Plonker deals with Aerodactyl. When Moltres comes out and Flygon didn't fate, I knew it was time to say goodbye to Plonker. Overheat was a little bit of overkill if you ask me, but that's when I choose to bring out Sean. I opt to aim both of our attacks at Moltres, which turned out to be a good idea as it too falls. When Articuno comes out, I play the thinking game, aiming both Dustin and Sean's Toxics towards it, anticipating the inevitable Lumberry that it has and guaranteeing us the win so long as we get rid of Crobat and manage to hang on. Dustin's Sludge Bomb guarantees Articuno will fall as it survives on practically 1 HP before himself falling to the Ice Beam. Ivy comes out to play, and although the Lumberry heals the burn, a critical Shadow Ball takes it out and the 6th badge is ours. Which also means another member can be generated, so over we go and we pull out the number 197, Umbreon. This is a member again that I really doubt I'm going to use, but it is there in case we really need it. Given the fact that the last few major fights have been double battles, I feel the need to remind everyone that so far the single Pokemon element with Forretress is still somehow going on this far into the game. Unfortunately, that is now over, as in the Magma hideout we have to fight Admin Courtney. She leads off with a Charizard, and that's it, over and done. No saving us this time. My HM slaves, Meowth and Magcargo, obviously don't fight, so when I send in my level 94 Dustin and see Shockwave dealing respectable damage, I'm kinda happy. Overheat's recall damage in this game finishes it off, but one Air Slash from the emerging Salamence removes Dustin, so I send in Sean, who sets up Toxic. With thanks to the poison damage and Shadow Ball, it sends it back to whence it came. Kangaskhan knowing Shadow Ball isn't nice, but a couple of Brick Breaks send that away, and this is when she brings in her Regirock. Yes, Regirock, who instantly hits an Earthquake, and it's bye-bye Sean. All those hours I spent grinding and investing in Shuppet proved to be worthless, as it's easily destroyed. And back on the grind I went. And back to the fridge I went. The empty bottles of beer kept on growing as the hours ticked past, but eventually we got the other members of our team into a similarly ridiculous state as Plonker. This is now officially a random team challenge. Heading back, we decide to lead off with Dustin, who can tank an Overheat and get rid of Charizard with a single Sludge Bomb. After pondering my choice for a while, we switch into Sean to take down Salamence with a couple of Shadow Balls. The level he's at is necessary as he too has to deal with Kangaskhan, which he does with a pretty needless critical hit Brick Break. I choose to leave him in to deal with Regirock, and Brick Break does nothing to it. A critical ancient power is enough to send him down. I bring out Plonker and hit a brutal flash cannon, and after a little bit of thought, I opt to bring Dustin back out to Sludge Bomb the Venusaur. We get lucky as Sleep Powder misses twice to tee up the final member of our party, Castform. One more Sludge Bomb later, our random team of misfits has overcome this monstrous hurdle. But in typical Kaizo fashion, when one monstrous hurdle is done, the next isn't far away. In this case, it's Maxi. If I said he caused me about 30 odd resets and even more levels, would that tell you the luck I needed in this fight? We kick off with a Tyranitar in our face, one that knows Fire Blast. We need a run here where Fire Blast misses twice on the bounce. When it does, and it goes down, we switch into Sean to tank the Psychic and drop it with a single Shadow Ball. For Flygon, we send in Ivy, the throwaway member of my team. I mean no disrespect, but the best thing this Shuppet has done is get that defense drop before bowing out. Dustin comes in and gets rid of it, so Sean is back out to get rid of Gengar with Shadow Ball, and Dustin comes back in to do his best on Arcanine. Bringing Plonker in for any part of this match would essentially be a guaranteed waste of time, so Sean has to deal with it all. When Entei, yes, Entei, comes out, I am terrified. But tanking 2 Sacred Fires, we Shadow Ball it and finally overcome this hurdle. Oh my god, I can't believe that section of the game is an actual thing. How brutal can it be? Well, let's just wait to find out. With the conclusion of that, we head over to Slateport to check out the ruckus that's occurring over by the harbour. That Archie guy turns up to spoil the party and makes off with a small bit of equipment that I'm sure nobody will notice. With that, the Aqua hideout in Lily Cove has become open to us, and here at the end of it we face off against an admin of the group that honestly could have gone a lot worse. Yes, it did take us a number of tries, and yes, I make potentially stupid moves, like thinking that our Weezing could outspeed a Dragonite, but other than that, this one was actually a nice little break from the powerhouse stress of the last however many battles. Unfortunately though, the next one isn't one I'm too keen on, Tate and Liza. However, we actually didn't struggle that badly. We beat them on the second try, and this is how we did it. They start with Latios and Latias respectively. They are ridiculous, both having hidden power fire and taking out Plonker with crazy ease. We send in Dustin and the Shadow Ball gets rid of Latios. I used Shadow Ball pretty much over and over to win this fight, and Latias hangs on with Gardevoir failing to do so. While Dustin does flinch to fake out, Sean makes light work of the Medicham that caused it. Next turn, Latias finally falls and Jirachi is their last member. What is this team? We lose Dustin to a Psychic from Starmie and Jirachi can't take a critical hit from Sean. Unfortunately, the result is pretty much assured as Starmie also falls, and that, as they say, is that. We take once again to the random generator to find our next member, number 335, Zangoose. I'm excited about this one. It's fast and has a wonderfully high attack stat. Beautiful for the team. I go and catch one straight away, naming him Benjamin. Following that is a shit ton of grinding to raise his level up to a decent amount before our next fight. While there is a pretty ridiculous fight in the Space Center, I think I've spoken enough about double battles, and honestly, let's just get this game done. There's another one of those double battles to come that I will talk about. But for now, we head down to the seafloor cavern and try to encounter Archie for the one and only fight we have with him in this game. Getting there, I find myself confronted with a sprawling ice puzzle. I found this one easier to navigate than Dewford, but it certainly wasn't easy in general. These puzzles, man, I get shaking the game up, but my god, they went overboard here. Still, we do make it through and can face Archie. This fight took me 4 tries, which honestly I'm taking as bloody good luck given how the game has gone. I lead off with Dustin and Sean. They make a lovely team because Earthquake is brutal and Dustin has Levitate, which helps us out to no end. Archie, Suicune and Raikou take brutal damage. Yeah, I'm not surprised by much anymore. When Dustin outspeeds and knocks down Suicune, Quillfish comes out, just in time for Sean to hit his Earthquake, and thanks to the duo of super effective hits, both of them go down. Dragonite comes out and scuppers our Earthquake strat, but Shadow Ball is powerful enough as well. I hate Octazooka, and despite a powerful hit and accuracy loss, we still hit return with Plonker. Metagross protects himself and I accidentally knock out Plonker. Whoops. It took a while after that, but we pulled through and smack him aside. Done with that, we do the Rayquaza storyline and whatnot, and head in to fight Wallace. He is the first of 2 members in the Satopolis gym. We start with Sean and go toe to toe with his Kingdra, who goes down to 2 Shadow Balls despite dropping our accuracy twice. We swap into our newly trained max level Benjamin and Crush Claw the heck out of Cast Form. For Swampert we switch into Plonker in order to hit a brutal Giga Drain, 2 of them in fact. We decide to swap into Dustin to deal with Ludicolo and Sludge Bomb the Pineapple away. Ludicolo tanks a Sludge Bomb though and actually sends Dustin packing. Benjamin comes out and removes the pest before ultimately going down himself thanks to a critical Surf from Lapras. Plonker comes in and takes the final member out, surviving himself on only 22 HP. The second part is a double battle with Juan, who leads off with a couple of familiar Pokemon. The Dustin-Sean combo proves to be effective, but Dustin is dangerously low on health, so I swap into Plonker, not thinking that the switch goes first and he gets hit badly enough by an oncoming Earthquake. I attempt a Hail Mary move on Lantern, but ultimately it isn't enough as Plonker falls in no small part to my own stupidity. Ivy and Dustin both fail to really help, and that means it's all on Sean's shoulders. He stands strong and completely blasts Juan's final Pokemon aside. With that done, finally we have all 8 badges and can generate our last team member. You certainly cannot predict how truly random things work because we pull out 334 Altaria, only 1 number lower than Zangoose. We head off to find one but encounter a Swablu first, who we name Emily and then promptly evolve. I then head on a journey to catch that long-awaited Registeel. After many attempts, we finally catch the legendary and name it Jay. With our team pretty much complete, we make our way through Victory Road and arrive at the Elite Four. We use rare candies to level up our team members to take on the challenge with. The final 6 consists of Forretress, Dusclops, Weezing, Zangoose, Registeel and Altaria. This on top of the unused Smeargle and Umbreon are what a random generator has given us to take on what is hands down the most ridiculous section of fights ever seen in any Pokemon game. The question now is, the team that's carried us this far, the randomly generated team, can it win? To find out, we step in the door and take on Sydney. I learn from my multitude of attempts and start off with Dustin. We use Toxic twice in order to deal with the Sableye. The damage racking up becomes our best friend, and although it does mean a sacrifice for Dustin, in the long run it becomes worth it. We swap into Jay, our resident tank, to hit 2 Meteor Mash, needing and getting an attack boost in the process. Another mash reduces Tauros to half health, sacrificing himself in the ordeal. Sean comes out and Hidden Power Ghost does a decent damage chunk, but not enough. One critical Earthquake downs Jolteon and I send out Emily to hit Air Slash, getting a crucial flinch. Another one downs it and I bring out Sean to deal with the beast that is Alakazam. When he does that, I bring out Benjamin first with Houndoom oncoming, and Crush Claw, while powerful, isn't a one-shot. Emily comes out again, and Hyper Voice seals me the win for the first member. Phoebe's up next, and every fibre of my body wants to just skip over the remainder of these fights and end this brutal challenge. Alas, the show must conclude, and that means talking my way through it. Gengar misses Hypnosis, and a critical hit downs Dusclops. When Sableye comes out, we revert to our toxic strategy, and when that's set up, we swap into Benjamin, anticipating the Shadow Ball and going for Water Pulse, which confuses, but unfortunately, ultimately isn't enough, as it doesn't affect Sableye at all. After a lot of confusion and faff, we bring out Emily to finish it, switch into Dust into Sludge Bomb Ludicolo, which doesn't go as well as I'd planned, leaving Emily to finish up once again. Thanks to a critical psychic from Sean, we get rid of Crobat and learn that Gardevoir has Fire Punch as it removes Plonker, leaving both Emily and Jay to do their business to remove the second member of the four. Glacier caused me more trouble than she was ever worth. The worst part of this thing was that damn Lapras. I consider myself so incredibly lucky that it only took me 36 attempts, and that's saying something. At least I remember the number that I was counting before I zoned out for a while in the middle. I think I was here for a good hour. The level of luck needed to get this run was unbelievable. The strat I went for became apparent early on, and it was just a case of waiting until it happened. By the time we make it through to the Lapras, what we need is that flinch chance of Air Slash to hit 3 times in a row with a critical hit at the end, or 4 times in a row without it. That's not even taking into account the Wailord before it either. When Lapras comes out to us, this run proves itself to be the latter. 4 flinches in a row sends us on our way beautifully to Drake. I still can't get my head around that one, but I think it was about due given the luck I've had in this challenge. Before anyone cries hacks, if I was hacking this game, it wouldn't have taken me 60 odd hours to complete and back up my footage with over 17 hours of the stuff. And that's not even taking into account the fact that I didn't record large parts of grinding. I don't know what happened there. This game has made me lose my sanity. Anyway, on to Drake. What a beast of a man. He has both the Latis on his team, and both are nasty bastards to defeat. He leads off with Latios, who hits us with a brutal Draco Meteor before falling to a Shadow Ball. When he decides he wants to flex his muscles at us by sending in Tyranitar, I choose to bring out Jay so that Intimidate can't affect us. We exchange Earthquakes, and on the second turn I decide to use Superpower, expecting an Earthquake in return, but being graciously rewarded with a Dragon Dance and a destroyed Godzilla. I stay in for the fight with Salamence and somehow survive a Flamethrower on 6 health. We do get our Meteor Mash off for good luck though, and Dustin emerges from the shadows and easily manages to absorb a Draco Meteor before critically wounding the Dragon Beast with Sludge Bomb. Unfortunately, that spells the end of his involvement as Latias comes out and a Dragon Claw defeats him. Sean returns to the scene and hits a critical Shadow Ball out of nowhere to be rid of the second and final Lati. Kingdra and Dragonite remain, but in truth, not for long. Benjamin deals with the Kingdra fairly easily, and the Dragonite, in the end, just can't withstand the power of Bagworm Friendship. This now just leaves one final battle before us. The champion, Steven, has the most ludicrous, ridiculous, idiotic team I've ever come across, and I never want to come across again. To describe this team in 2 words, I'd say piss take, and that's being kind. Leading off with Metagross and having others like Mewtwo, Deoxys and Jirachi in there, it's all just batshit mental. This took me more attempts than I am willing to say out loud, so just wait for the breakdown at the end for that one. Everyone except for Jay and Emily have a Citrus Berry, while they have the Soft Sand and Silk Scarf respectively. I learn the strat and begin the fight, leading off with Jay but instantly switching into Emily, avoiding the incoming Earthquake. I get super lucky with a critical Heat Wave and switch back into Jay. A good call because the Hail Mary explosion is absorbed rather well, but just under half health didn't tickle me nicely. Aerodactyl comes out and it is within a range of Meteor Mash, as I learnt on my many resets. We don't get it this time though, and the attack gain is useful, but he switches preemptively into Jirachi. A move I foresaw coming myself actually, seeing as it had happened before. So I risk going for Earthquake. I knew I made the right call as Jirachi hits half health before removing Jay with a brutal Fire Punch. In comes Sean, tanking a Meteor Mash and ending this encounter. He then sends in Mewtwo and I try again to trick the AI here. I remain in with Sean and immediately switch to Benjamin to avoid the oncoming Shadow Ball, hitting a critical Shadow Ball myself for insane damage. The berry heals and we switch out to Emily in the hope of Brick Break that turns out to be a good call. It was good but not quite carling as we get hit for a large chunk of health by Psychic. Ultimately it doesn't turn out to be enough as we manage to take down the Mewtwo Electric Boogaloo. Starmie is up as the 4th member and we bring in our main man Plonker. He's been somewhat redundant for the Elite Four and I'm glad he gets the chance to use 2 signal beams to destroy the Starfish Shuriken as both Hydro Pump miss the target. Deoxys is up next and I instantly bring in Sean. Against anything that isn't weak to fire, he uses Psycho Boost and Sean is the only one who can tank that. Barely though, on 34 HP. The following brutal Shadow Ball downs it. The berry heals and I think that it's all over, but alas I just had to go and make things ropey for myself right at the death. I underestimate Aerodactyl who takes out Sean with a Sky Attack, and then Plonker with a Flamethrower, ruining my chances of a nice heartwarming ending with the one Pokemon we started this with. Instead, Dustin comes out and a single Shadow Ball from him later, we've beaten the champion of all champions and can finally say that our random team, Registeel J, Wheezing Dustin, Zangoose Benjamin, Dusclops Sean, Forretress Plonker and Altaria Emily have beaten the hardest ROM hack ever made with an in-game timer of 62 hours and 29 minutes and a total death count of 366. Now some of you might be wondering about the name scheme. Well, these are the names of just a few of the many people who have supported this channel right from the start and have been ever-present faces in the comments. There are a huge number of you out there and I apologise if I didn't pick your name. Your support has been noticed and I'm so grateful for all of you. Of course, this is the 1000 subscriber special video and I wanted to give back to you who have helped me. So if your name features, I'm sorry that this is all I can do to thank you. Hopefully you'll stick around for what I hope will be the next 1000 and beyond. But at the start of this challenge I asked a simple question. Can you beat Pokemon Emerald Kaizo, the hardest ROM hack ever, with only a randomly generated Pokemon? The answer to that is of course no, not with our randomization at least. I then split the question to be, can you beat this game with a randomly generated team? The answer to that one is yes, you can, provided your randomizations were as decent on the whole as mine were. Right, I've kept you here long enough, so no long outro today. Like and subscribe for more content like this, join us on Discord and feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to comment with any challenges or suggestions or ROM hacks that you might like to see me take on in the future. And please, join me next time, where I hope to have a bit of fun by asking the question, can you beat regular Pokemon Emerald's no Poké Center run with only a Mew? Let's all have a bit of fun like I said. Thank you so much for watching guys and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.